Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Grandpa coming to you from the Sleep Study Center at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. They're going to hook me up to a CPAP machine tonight. We'll see how that works out. They kept telling me for years that I don't have sleep apnea. Now it's like, no, you do have sleep apnea. So I usually sleep pretty well, but if we can improve it, I'm 72 now, and I want to be here. You guys are pretty young. Frank, you're 22. Actually, I think you just turned 23. And Arlo, you're 5. Olive, you're 2. So I'd like to be around for a while. Sleep is very important. Today we're in Leviticus chapter 5. So in 4 we started to talk about the sin offerings. And now we're going to have some additional sin offering regulations, and then we're going to be talking about the guilt offerings. And so this is the additional sin offering regulations. Chapter 5, verse 1 says, when a person sins in that he hears a public curse against one who fails to testify, and testify, it says, the words against one who fails to testify are not in the Hebrew text, but have been supplied to clarify the remark about the curse. So they're filling words in here, even though they're not there. But this is great scholarship. This Bible has state-of-the-art scholarship. So one who fails to testify, and he is a witness, he either saw or knew what had happened. Both of those things, you can be a witness to. You definitely can be a witness to something you saw, but you can be a witness to something that you know happened. But if you didn't see it happen, if you didn't personally witness it happening, then it's circumstantial evidence. And it sometimes can be used to not to put forth a case, but to bolster a case that you're already making. But anyway, and he does not make it known, then he will bear his punishment for iniquity. And iniquity means that you did something bad. So if you know that something happened, and you fail to bring it forward, and this is to the priests, then you're guilty. Or when there is a person who touches anything ceremonially unclean. So we're talking about a dead body is ceremonially unclean. Somebody with certain skin diseases, if you touch them, you're definitely unclean. A woman on her monthly cycle is unclean. It doesn't always mean that you're physically dirty. It's just that you're set aside. So for a woman, it doesn't make her dirty that once a month that happens. But what it does do is it sets her aside. It's actually a good thing. I mean, she can't touch food, prepare food. She can't do anything for those days when she's in that displeasure. Or when there is a person who touches anything ceremonially unclean, whether the carcass of an unclean wild animal, or the carcass of an unclean domesticated animal, or the carcass of an unclean creeping thing, so it could be like a bug or something, even if he did not realize it, but he himself has become unclean and is guilty. or when he touches human uncleanness with regard to anything by which he can become unclean, even if he did not realize it, but he himself has later come to know it and is guilty. Or when a person swears an oath, speaking thoughtlessly with his lips, whether to do evil or to do good, with regard to anything which the individual might speak thoughtlessly in an oath, even if he did not realize it, but he himself has later come to know it, and is guilty with regard to one of these oaths. So these are things that you might not realize at first what you did, but then you realize it, and so you're going to have to do something about it. When an individual becomes guilty with regard to one of these things, he must confess how he has sinned. So you have to name it. When you go to the temple, you take your offering, and you have to say, this is what I did. It's just like in the Catholic Church, they go into the little booth with the priest and, forgive me, Father, I have sinned. I've done, excuse me, I've done this or I've done that. So you have to confess how you sin, and he must bring his penalty for guilt to the Lord for his sin that he has committed. A female from the flock, whether a female sheep or a female goat, for a sin offering. So the priest will make atonement on his behalf for his sin. If he cannot afford an animal from the flock, he must bring his penalty for guilt for his sin that he has committed, 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the Lord. Turtle doves are kind of cool. I say off the pigeons. 1 for a sin offering and 1 for a burnt offering. He must bring them to the priest and present first the one that is for the sin offering. The priest must pinch its head at the nape of its neck, but must not sever the head from the body. So you're just going to grab it and go like, and kill it. But not like rip its head off. Then he must sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the wall of the altar, and the remainder of the blood must be squeezed out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. The second bird he must make a burnt offering according to the standard regulation. So the priest will make atonement on behalf of this person for his sin which he has committed. And here's the good news, and he'll be forgiven. If he cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, because I know that you were thinking about that. Well, wait a minute, Grandpa. What if this guy just really can't even afford that? I mean, he knows that he's sinned against the Lord. He needs to do something about that. What can he do? He must bring as his offering for his sin which he has committed 1/10 of an ephah, and that is about 2.3 liters. So it's like a gallon of wheat, 1 day's ration for an individual. An ephah of choice wheat flour for a sin offering. He must not place olive oil on it, and he must not put frankincense on it, because it is a sin offering. So we saw before that there were these, what was it, a peace offering, or what was the first one? The burnt offerings. He must bring it to the priest, and the priest must scoop out from it a handful as its memorial portion and offer it up in smoke on the altar on top of the other gifts of the Lord. It is a sin offering. So this is another one of these where the priests get to keep some of the stuff. They're not wasting all this food. It's like a gallon, like a giant milk jug full of wheat. So the priest will make atonement on his behalf for his sin, which he has committed by doing one of these things, and he will be forgiven. The remainder of the offering will belong to the priest, like the grain offering. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, when a person commits a trespass and sins by straying unintentionally from the regulation about the Lord's holy things, then he must bring his penalty for guilt to the Lord, a flawless ram from the flock. So this is the guilt offering. And this is a guilt offering for a known trespass. So you know you did this. When a person commits a trespass and sins by straying unintentionally from the regulation about the Lord's holy things, then he must bring his penalty for guilt to the Lord, a flawless ram from the flock, convertible into silver shekels according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel for a guilt offering. So what you can do is you can go out and sell your sheep and bring an offering of this money. And whatever holy thing he violated, he must restore and must add 1/5 to it and give it to the priest. So the priest will make atonement on his behalf with the guilt offering ram, and he will be forgiven. And I think that it's what this, there's a little guy, I think his name's Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he, and he says, I'll make amends with everybody and I'll give them 1/5. And so this is what he's referring to. If a person sins and violates any of the Lord's commandments, which must not be violated, so this is an unknown trespass, although he did not know it at the time, but later realizes he is guilty, then he will bear his punishment for iniquity and must bring a flawless ram from the flock, convertible into silver shekels for a guilt offering to the priest. So the priest will make atonement on his behalf for his error which he committed, although he himself had not known it, and he will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. He was surely guilty before the Lord. So the good news is that if you do something, as soon as you realize you did it, take it to the Lord, confess it, and we don't have to make these offerings anymore because an offering was made for us 2,000 years ago on a hill outside of Jerusalem when Jesus was crucified and buried and then rose from the grave. So he's our sin offering, guilt offering. He's all of them. Peace out.